Hey everyone, my name is Alfia. I am the owner of the Tubi group, and I want to ask you a question. Do you want to play a game? True or false? So, I was scrolling the other day on TikTok and I saw a recommendation for a movie called True or False. And it opens up about a young lady, a young girl named Cora. And Cora is walking out her room and she looking for her mom, and she finds her uncle, and he tells her, basically he wants her to go back to bed or whatever. She's like, I'm looking for her mom, I can't sleep or whatever. So he said he takes her back to the room. He goes to get her something to drink. And she was like, I still can't sleep after he gave her the drink and she was trying to lay down. And he was like, well, let's play a game. True or false? And he said, if you win, you get $20. And if you don't, and you could stay up. If you don't, then you have to go to bed. So he asked her, true or false, are you his baby girl? She said false. And basically, he then proceeds to tell her, let me show you how much you mean to me or how much I love you. So he goes to the door, he checks around, and then he closes the door. And viewer discretion is advised. What happened to Cora was a shameful God. And her uncle took advantage of her. So Cora grows up and she seeks therapy. And she starts as a young child, I guess not too long after her uncle raped her. Well, groped her, sorry. And it wasn't really working. And the therapist was like, you've been going to me for a while and it wasn't really working. And I felt so bad for Cora. So Cora was at work one day and her coworker received some flowers. And you could tell Cora was really upset, and she, you could, like any young woman, she wants to feel loved. And her coworker was like, maybe you should start dating or whatever. So Cora was like, I think she was hesitant at first, so she decides to get on a dating app. And she goes to a couple dates, and they were some horrible men. So Cora gives up, and she goes to the bookstore. And she meets a guy named Carson, and he gives her some good reviews on some books. And then he asks her for a number. And they end up going out, and they end up hitting off very well. But Cora was, of course, if you watch the beginning of the first movie, it begins about how her uncle took advantage of her at a young age. And Carson wanted to take their relationship to the next level because they had been together for a month. And Cora wasn't ready at all. She started having flashbacks because she thought she was ready to do with her significant other, boyfriend, friend, or whatever they were trying to be dating, and she couldn't do it. And Carson got very upset, and she was trying to play a game with him, true or false. And she asked him, do you think she was like, basically unstable, or is her mind like whatever? He was like, no, I don't think so. She's like, well, it's false. She said, you really don't know me, Carson. And he ended up leaving. And how do I put this? The next day, she goes to go buy some stuff at the corner store. And I said, what is she buying? I said, this looks like she's trying to hide something. Well, Cora was up to a plan. So Cora just bought a whole bunch of bleach, apple cider vinegar. I think it was vinegar, coffee grind. It looks like she was trying to cover up something, or she about to plan something. So, of course, later on that night, she meets a guy at the gas station because he's a security guard, and he shooed away these 3 guys that was trying to hit on her, and she wasn't interested, and they couldn't catch him because she wasn't even getting their attention. You know how you at the gas station and they say, hey, baby, hey, like, leave me alone. If I ain't said hey the first time, if I ain't said nothing to you, I'm walking past and trying to go to get back to my car and pump the gas, please leave me alone. Even though they were offering to pump her gas, she was not interested. She wasn't saying it. And they were like, basically like like taunting, harassing her. So the security guard walks up and, he tells them whatever. And it was like, they ain't scared of him until he pulled out that gun. And it was, oh, you about that life. It's basically like, it's looking like. So he goes over and he talks to Cora. And they kind of hit it off. He got her number. And Cora wasn't really feeling him at first. But, So the next scene opens up with Carson. He's leaving out of somewhere. He could tell you he's been drinking and it's been heavy because he's a lot out there. So he gets in his car and lo and behold, somebody in a ski mask comes out. And what does Carson do? He gets his phone. Instead of calling somebody on the phone, he didn't do it because I was like, what the heck? Why are you even calling on the phone? I was kind of confused at that scene. So Carson gets out of his car and looking around for the guy, not paying attention to the guy right behind him. After he got out of the car, he walked a little bit away from his car, and he notices the guy is walking, whoever he is, walking behind him. And Carson, I think he went a little further, and I think he went to go use the bathroom out in public. And the person walked up, and he was like, who are you? You here to finish your job or whatever? Are you here to do what we did the other night or whatever? So Carson thinks he knows who it is. And the person pulls out a weapon and proceeds to attack Carson. Now, they end up ending Carson's life. And the next day, Cora goes on a date with the police officer. But wait, hold on. Yeah, they go on a date, and she meets his mom, and then the next scene is where she gets ready for work. And a police officer comes by. Now, I know this is a movie, but they did not do no protocol because you cannot step in nobody's house. He was like, can I come in? He done forced his way in. And she was like, I'm getting ready for work. And he was like, I'm looking for my friend Carson. And she was like, well, I haven't seen him because I've been calling him. She's like, have you seen him, whatever? He was like, well, he's been missing. And she was like, well, I haven't heard from him because, I've been trying to get I was going to file a missing report on a missing person because she ain't contacted him. But before they had broke up a couple nights ago, he told her don't contact him, lose his number. So I'm saying to myself, why are you contacting Carson? Well, the police officer started looking around her apartment. He said, you have some this stuff. You have all the ingredients for the people to hide a body. And she was like, I like coffee and I like to clean. So he wasn't buying it, but she was like, if you don't have a warrant, then you can't be here. So she put him out, and she said, next time you talk to me, basically have my lawyer present. So she goes to the park, and she meets the new guy that she had a date with, and she was like, you want to play a game? True or false? They end up playing the game, and she was like, well, she asked me, she was like, one is true and one is false. So she said, I want you to guess which one's true and which one's false. She told him, she said, do you think I ever hurt someone, like physically hurt, like, like ended somebody's life? Or am I a virgin? He was like, I'm going to go with the virgin because you're too nice to not kill somebody. And she was like, yeah. Then, she was like, you're right or whatever. So they went walking, and then she told him, she was like, well, I did end somebody's life. And he was like, you didn't do it. She was like, I'm just joking. So he was like, you want to have a picnic because it's still kind of early? And she was like, yeah, that's fine. He was like, well, I have some glass in the car. She said, oh, you came prepared. He was like, yeah. She said, well, I have some wine in the car. And he was like, okay. So she went to go get her wine. And there was a big surprise. If you haven't already, go ahead to Tubi now and watch True or False and find out what did Cora find out in her car.